This is my assignment 2 for Business 520. So my mom, we don't work together. We don't even work in the same industry, but she works in the educational field. She does have experience in business, corporate settings, and everything. So it will be interesting to see her feedback to these questions from the perspective of an educator and also from her past experience in like corporate settings. Okay, so I'm going to be asking you 4 questions. So the first question is going to be, how can limited time impact the workplace?
Limited time, when the employee is feeling pressure, one thing it can cause the quality of work that's being produced to suffer. So even though corporations, companies have to meet deadlines or their deadlines to be met, you still have to be conscious of the quality of work that may be the output of the work because of the rush in doing the work that is being you're assigned. So
Yes, I definitely believe that is true. The work of the employee can suffer if they're feeling rushed and they're being pressured. This also, I believe, can cause some aversions in the corporation, in the abstractions, not aversions, abstractions in the corporation, and conflicts between management and employees. And we always have to remember that employees have feelings, and that just causes more work stress when they're being rushed and time is little for them to complete task. Okay, so the next question is going to be, how can too much work impact the workplace? And can you think of an example of when you've had a large workload?
One, as you stated, it could cause a lot of stress on an employee, and that can cause the company more money because the more stress you're adding on employees can cause illness, which illness leads to time off of work, which a lot of time companies are paying for. So not only are they losing some of the workforce, but they're also now, once again, maybe getting the lack of work that's being produced is not the quality that the company may want to be recognized for.
I believe that is definitely true. You brought up a good point of talking about how employees, when they are having all this stress, this can produce illnesses that can cause them to rack up medical bills, and companies don't want to pay for that. Their main goal for the employees to have a good health and work-life balance. So definitely limited time and too much work on an employee is not beneficial for the company at all. Okay, so the next question I have is, can other people not doing their part impact the workplace? And can you think of an example of when you've been in that situation before?
It definitely can. One, it causes tension between, like, for its best example is team members. When you're working, you have to be a team player. You have to learn how to work together because all of you are working for the common goal of completing an assignment. As far as me, yes, I'm sure a lot of employees have gone through this where you have to step in and finish something maybe that another coworker have not done just to make sure the assignment is completed. But it also, as I stated, causes tension because one person may feel, oh, I'm doing other people's work and I got my own work. And at the same time, that employee that is doing extra work may get recognition, and now there may be other tension that comes into effect, such as like jealousy because one person said, well, that was my assignment. So it's a lot to that, but the main thing is if everyone work together, do their part, the company succeeds.
Yeah, group work is definitely hard. It's definitely hard. And one thing I always think about when it comes to group work and just team members working together, period, is people are hired because of their hard skills, but people are fired because of their soft skills. If you were in this situation again, definitely with teamwork, I would suggest first teaching the team their role, the goals. Then next, also one thing that I've learned is letting the team or individual know why their role matters, why they should care, why it's important, and how it contributes to the overall goal. Another tip that I suggest also is celebrating those small successes and supporting your team along the way. Sometimes team members, they might not be able to give all the effort because they might be confused. They might be stuck on a problem. And as a team, that's why you're there, to help each other and help them be like, okay, well, you've done this part, so let's go ahead. We'll celebrate that you've accomplished this, but now let's move on to the next step. So we can also try to navigate them to get on to the right step as well. Okay, last question. How can conflict between and among employees impact the workplace? And can you think of an example of when you've been in this situation?
Oh, that's interesting. With me taking leadership classes, this is one of the things we do talk about in one of our case studies. Happen to be with, like she said, I'm working in education, so this example is from that. You had a team that was working together for 5 years on this activity for a special event each year. Well, the current year, a new team member came in who did it differently. So that caused tension. So we actually had to come up with scenarios of how, as a leader, how we could diffuse the tension, I guess, as if you want to put it that way. And that one was actually hard for me. So you asking me that question makes me think. I will say what my professor told me is we have to refer to the team to try to remember, and you made a good point in your last statement for one of your questions. Each person needs to know their role.
Yes.
Each role is important. Whether you have an idea of doing things the old way or doing things the new way, sometimes both of those ways can blend in. But if team members aren't working together and sharing their input, we're not going to know. So as far as any tension amongst team members, and me being in corporate setting and educational setting environment, I've seen it, I've been a part of it, and the same thing that I just said as far as what the professor recommended, I had to think back. That is how I handled it. You have to come together as a team. We have to be willing to listen, share, and collaborate. And because if we all can share each other's idea and listen and not always assume that our idea is the only way, because there's always new information,
Yes,
new data, new technology coming that can make any idea even better. So.
Yeah, definitely. With your case study, my mom, one thing I forgot to mention, she is actually in her doctorate program for leadership education. Educational leadership. Yes. So that's a case study that she was referring to in her program. So one thing from that case study that from what you told me, one thing I think they're lacking is probably a lack of followership also. They are not knowing how to adjust to the new management style, and we've all been in that situation. I just currently was in that situation, and it's a terrible situation to be in when not everyone can conform to that new way of doing their job or that new structure or company culture that the company is trying to portray now. Another thing I think I know sometimes you talk to me about different things in your work environment, and she works as a teacher in the teacher setting and everything. So the teachers that she works with also, I believe some of them are more in like the younger generation, somewhere around my age or a little bit older sometimes.
What you mean the younger generation?
You are, okay, but this is getting into the point. I am in Generation Z. My mom is in Generation X. So
real close to Y.
so since she's in that generation, I also think that there's just sometimes a soft skills gap between those generations. between as far as like work ethic, how team works, all those different things. What's another one I can think of? Problem solving also is another one. And
values.
yeah, definitely the values there. My generation, the younger generation, we tend to be, I don't think all of us, we want our trophies now instead of after we work for them. So I also think that's something that has to deal with this question and that case study. I don't know the generations, but sometimes it is just because of those generation differences. That's why probably followership isn't met. Okay, well, I want to thank you for doing this with me. I definitely enjoyed hearing your input, especially from your side as far as work and from your doctorate, getting your doctorate degree and what you guys are learning with the case studies. It was definitely interesting. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.